can go live now because. Okay, guys, welcome back to Samson's World. We're going to try this again. We lost the feed a little bit, but you know the spirit. We never quit, guys. Welcome to the show. We have one of my good best friends here, my brother. He is, we met years ago, and he has become one of the more successful showrunners in the business. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Ian Gelfand.
Hello,
and there
hello.
he is. There he is in real life, everybody.
Take your
turn
seats.
the music down.
Everyone sit down, sit down.
I know. Everybody sit down, sit down. And let's see, Ian, let's see if this puppy came through now. Because everybody, we lost the feed a second ago, but we are back, I believe. So let me just check this so I can share this, Ian, with the good people. But I would like to start, Ian. I'd like to start off letting the people know, like we talked about, how we met.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Tell them.
Would you like me to? I'll
yes,
start.
I want you to tell them.
Good. So we met. God, we were just talking about this. Almost like under 2005, we met working on a show called Significant Others with my cousin Faith Saley. And actually, Chris Spencer was on that show. He was one of the stars of that show.
Yeah.
And Ian was one of the producers. And so I met Ian. I was a post coordinator, barely. And Ian and I met, and we befriended each other in the edit bays. And I got on that show, I got one of the best pieces of advice, which I didn't realize it in Hollywood, from Rob Roy Thomas, who was the executive producer and creator of that show. And he said, Sam, you're not the boss now, but you might be someday. So shut the fuck up. Or it was, you're not the boss now. So basically until you are, shut the fuck up. So, you know, so that's pretty accurate Hollywood. You know what I mean?
Well,
shout out to Rob Roy.
Now you are the boss. So
now I am the boss, Ian. You're right. I mean, because of this corona and being forced inside, now I have my own talk show. You know, who needs NBC when you got Sam coronavirus money coming in? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, did you enjoy working on that show?
Yeah, I loved working on Significant Others. I mean, being that close, it was an improvised show. And, you know, a lot of people don't really understand. Rob Roy Thomas, I don't think, gets the proper credit for kind of being one of the first to do an improvised sitcom. Like, mind you, that show was out before Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I think Rob was just a little ahead of his time on that show, because NBC and Bravo kind of majorly missed it because it was a hilarious show. And if people don't know about it, it was basically a sitcom where the couples were on a therapy couch, a green therapy couch. And, you know, he would start the show, cut between their therapy sessions, and then you would go out into each of the couples' worlds. And it was a completely improvised sitcom.
We did that show. I think we were on every critic's what to watch list, like top 10 shows, like to watch, the shows that are coming up, the best shows on television. We were on every list like that. But there was a political thing happening at NBC at the time between the guy who picked that show up and the new head of NBC, and there was so that show sort of got killed in order to I think ego driven or something.
I mean, you know, and that happens too. I don't think a lot of people understand how much just outside of making a great show, luck goes into it, and they don't understand that a new group of executives or a new president came in and he wipes the slate clean of his predecessor, because he doesn't want to have anything to do with anything old. He wants to have all his new stuff. So people don't understand. You might have had a show that was so close to being sold, but the president got fired. The new guy wants to do new stuff, and your show is, you know,
I mean that happened to me on this show as well. Like, and it's not. I think it's really like in our case, the guy who picked up the show was second in command,
Right.
and NBC wasn't doing very well at the time. They started losing. If this show was successful, it might seem like that guy who was second, like under him, might be a good, person to replace him. So to save his own skin, he felt
Right.
like, oh, I'm not going to give that show a chance because if
I
it
know.
does well, then what? That's my wife in the
Hey, there's
background.
your wife.
Yes.
Hey, how's it going? That's awesome.
Um,
That's awesome.
so anyway, so and that happened to me. That happened to me in a different way. I had a show on VH1, and the person who had picked that show up and loved the show and was excited about the show left, and the person replacing, like, just sort of someone at the top came in, replaced everyone, and just didn't want that show to do well, because because if my show does well, then it's like the old regime still had
Right.
good ideas, and you don't
Yeah,
want that. Yeah,
it is.
it's silly, and I think the better approach in general is to be, if you put a show on that's successful, you have the foresight to see what was good programming. Like, I don't see how that ever works against you, even if your
Right.
predecessor put it on or whatever. If it's
Right.
a hit and you
It's a
saw it to
hit.
be a hit,
Yeah, it's under
then you were
you.
the smart one to keep it. Like,
I
you
don't
know what
know.
I'm saying?
Too
So
much ego, like you said.
yeah, it's a shame. A lot of stuff gets lost with ego and pride and
Yeah,
fear of losing a job. Boy, this got really deep quick.
it did.
But
Okay, Ian, let me do this real quick, guys, just in case you don't know anything about Ian. He is the showrunner and executive producer of Summer House. I'm sure a bunch of you freaks watch that show. Family Karma, also on Bravo. The Real Housewives of Dallas. Okay, Ian is the showrunner. You saw this picture from his Instagram. That is Ian. Who is that, Ian, with the woman who just got married? What is, because forgive me, I know nothing about this show.
yeah, maybe you should have used a different picture, but that's
Sorry.
Leanne. No, that's okay. That's
Okay.
Leanne, and Leanne was on that show from the beginning, and she is the center of a lot of drama on that show. She's very popular on that show.
Got it.
Leanne Locken is her name.
Leanne Mocken. Okay, now
Locken
Ian
with an L.
Locken. Okay, with a
Locken.
net Locken. Okay, my
Yes.
bad. Now, Ian, I'm just gonna jump right into this. I hope you don't mind. I have some viewer submitted questions of some fans that want to ask you. Are you okay with answering questions?
Yes. Ask me
Now,
anything.
can I really ask you anything?
Well, I don't know if I'll answer, but let's
Okay,
try.
fair enough. Let's go. Okay, this one comes from Ashley in Salt Lake City. She says, was Leanne Locken fired because of racist comments? How did that decision-making process go?
Wow. Boy. So let me just say this before we dive into this, which is a lot of these shows you sign non-disclosure agreements, and you're not
Oh,
really
shit. Here
allowed
we
to
go.
talk about the inner
Here
workings.
we go.
But
Damn it, Ian.
no, but let's continue.
Okay.
Leanne had said things that season that were, kind of seen as racist. I understand 100% why people saw that as racist, those comments, and
Right.
I will not give my own opinion of them, but I
Right.
will say that I side with the majority of people. And I think because of that and other factors, they decided to split ways. Is that how you say it, or go
Yeah.
separate directions?
People, well, yeah, they in Hollywood they say, we're gonna go a different direction when they fire. That's how Hollywood fires you. We're
Right.
going in a different direction. I've had people. We're not doing violence anymore. We're doing a more we're going in a
Yes.
different direction.
So I will say that what your viewer asked
Uh
and
huh.
how she phrased it
Uh huh.
is very close to what happened,
Got
and
it.
I mean, I can't 100% confirm or deny, but what I will say is, if you were on a show and you made comments that were racist and they aired on television, what do you think's going to happen in
You're gonna get
that
fired. Well,
case?
first off, I never would
And
have had comments aired like that
sure,
on
sure,
television. But
but
yeah,
I'm not saying
but
you,
just in case.
but yeah, I think you understand. Although I think that the line that's being given at the moment
Hmm.
is that she decided she had enough of the show and she was leaving, because a
Okay.
lot what happens is in a lot of these cases, if a decision to let someone go happens, they
Hmm.
usually are gracious and let the person kind of couch it however, whatever makes them feel better,
Got
just
it.
as a kind of thank you for giving your all to this show for this many years. You say what you want to say. We're not going to come out and beat you up after you were beat up on the show already and did your thing.
Yeah.
But I was not in any office where I heard like them tell her to leave. So
Hmm.
right now, all I know, as much as that viewer, is that she left on her own accord. But I would say maybe there are other circumstances at work.
Sure.
How's that?
Wow. Wow. That's a cliffhanger, baby. I'm just salivating, Ian. This is delicious. Let me hit you with something. Pat from Chicago.
Yes.
Now this is a little, this is hard hitting. He
Oh,
said, "Is there
geez.
anything you wouldn't put on TV that has crossed the line? Basically, what is too much? Murder? Because physical violence is a staple of these shows. What is the line? Who judges the line? And when will it be crossed?"
Oh, that's a great question, by the way. Most shows, there's not physical violence. I did a show called Love and Hip Hop, which is known
Sure.
for things getting physical at times. Not
Sure.
often, by the way. Even
Yeah.
it's sort of like you read the news and you hear like, oh, you think there are terrorist attacks every day in Afghanistan, where it's
Right.
really
Yeah.
not every day. It's,
Yeah.
it's once a year, but it just seems like, there we go again.
Sure.
These shows, yeah, sometimes there's physical contact. Never, the only show where there was ever physical contact that I worked on was Love and Hip Hop. And on that show, the network's line is, we don't want people putting hands on each other. That's what the
Right.
network will tell you. They will give the cast a talking to.
A
Yes,
little, yeah. Ow,
yeah,
ow, ow. Yeah.
but as soon as you're like, oh my gosh, last night there was a fight, they're like, really, what happened?
Really? Can send us the
Right.
dailies. Yeah, send
Yes.
us the dailies.
Tell us what happened and all.
Yeah.
Those shows kind of live and die by those explosions and who might
Sure.
have thrown a drink at who and who might have done something
Sure.
to who. We have security on set all the time.
Hmm.
They know that things are gonna go that way, and they kind of, I believe that there is somewhat of like banking on that the cast will not follow the directions or misbehave.
Sure.
And because, in my opinion, if they didn't want that to happen, the second it happened, the person would be fired. But
Exactly.
instead, the person is still on the show and still doing whatever they do. So obviously, they're
Yeah.
not. Their line is no, we don't want that to happen. but in terms of actions speak louder than words. That's what I have to
And,
say about
and
that one.
and let's be honest, the viewers are just as much a part of this as you as the maker of these television shows. I mean, it's
Why are you blaming me?
yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Well, because part of it is for some of these shows, so many people say, oh, this show's sometimes the worst in people. And I know you, Ian, you're the type of guy who gives the shirt off your back, very generous, good mensch, as we call it in the Jewish culture.
thank
But
you.
is it ever conflicting working on some of these shows? And also, I think sometimes people don't understand you're friends with all these people. So while in the final edit, they might come off looking like these horrible people, maybe we should think of them more as like a soap opera, and you kind of understand who the real people are more so than we see. Does that make sense at all?
Sure, I'd say within the edit, people definitely get, people complain like I didn't get a good edit or they got a better edit or they
Sure.
whatever. But here's the thing, like especially on Love and Hip Hop, like most of that cast, almost all of them, I still love and I'm friends with, and we talk, and it's people who have human frailties. We all have human frailties. We all have things.
I knew.
Some people are like addicted to drugs, some are alcoholics, some
Sure.
are, and we're just highlighting those pitfalls for certain people who
Right.
have a certain amount of fame and what they go through with that. So we're kind of showing that side of it. Because people like to look at that and see
People
that.
love it.
Yes. Yeah. But like there's a guy on the show, Peter Guns. He did a lot for Love and Hip Hop. The 3 seasons I did, I love that guy. He's a great guy. If I were a girl, I'd stay the fuck away from him because he's he's a bit of a womanizer, and
Sure.
he's so, and like people are like, I would never date that guy or this or that. But he's obviously, if he has all these, like he's very charismatic, he's a sweet guy, and he's really a good-hearted guy deep down.
Yeah.
He just, it's like someone who can't control themselves, like I need a diet, but I can't help but eat
It's a
all
sex
the
addict,
cookies.
I guess. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like
he loves cookies. Who doesn't love cookies? Again?
Exactly. He's like,
all right.
He's got to eat the cookie.
I've got another viewer question. Sarah from Atlanta, who's also a nurse. Shout out to Sarah Mason Eichelberger in Atlanta, battling there. Shout out to all the medical staff, doctors, nurses, everybody. So we can be sitting here being morons. What makes a good reality TV cast? What are the ingredients for real Housewives cast? I want to know how they put those pieces together, she says.
Okay, so we have to start out actually with a baseline of you want to really find a group of friends. You want people who actually know each other and like each other, like that. Because when you start to just cast people that and put them together like the real world, there's no how should I put it? There's no reason, like I can just be like, if I've just met someone, I can be like, fuck that person, I don't care. There's no investment,
there's no chemistry, really.
Yes, chemistry, investment, whatever. You want people who know each other and who have a long history. That's first of all. So when you have a housewives, you try to find a group of friends who are big personalities and who are willing to kind of say things that people that modern society with manners and things won't really say, but you want them to be honest and truthful with each other. And if you're honest and truthful with your friends, that doesn't always get the best reaction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's very hard to hold a mirror up to your friend and be like, well, in real actuality, you're an asshole or you're this or whatever.
Yeah, so people tell me all the time.
Exactly. So you need to find people willing to live outside the normal conventions of polite society.
Sure.
so you find a group of friends and they're willing to go there and they think they're willing to go there, but then you start doing the show and you're like, well, remember you told me behind her back you hate her or what?
Right.
You need to tell her why.
And do you do that, Ian? I mean, obviously you do that type of instigating and everything, because I know, like I said, you're a good person who you're not a shit talker. You know what I mean? You've never, to me, ever been like, hey, Sam, that person, you know, fuck them. You know, you shouldn't talk to them anymore. This is, you know, so how does that conflict with who you are? But do you have to be like, hey, Vanessa was talking mad shit about you? I don't know.
Well, so here's the deal. It's not, I don't, so some producers do what you just did, which is stir the pot like behind the scenes. Like, hey, she just called me and told me you're a bitch. What are you going to, I never do that. I am very straightforward and upfront. And what I do is I'll tell people.
She was talking shit about you.
No, I will say to the person talking shit, like, don't talk shit to me. If you have an issue with her, that you need to go tell her directly the issue. So I won't stir the pot by going, I just tell the person, like, look, your job on this show, you're making a show. It's just a TV show. It's not that big of a deal, but you need to tell her how you really feel, because that's what this show lives and dies by.
Sure, exactly.
And so I'm like, look, you just need to be open. And get to the bottom of it, and I want it to work. I want it to work out. Like, I push them to work out their differences.
Yeah.
But the very beginning of telling someone the differences turns into like a big explosion, and then I try to say, but look, women, like, look, girls, you're best friends. Like, I know you're angry at each other now. Let's see if this is detrimental to your friendship, or can we make it work again? And then I spend the time trying to either make it work or judge that it can't work. But them being open and honest and doing their best for the show and not holding anything back makes for a great show. And I let them know that's what we're here for, and that's it. I'm not looking to destroy relationships, or I just want them to be honest about how they feel with each other, and that creates a great show.
I like it.
Yeah.
And do they have to be wealthy? I mean, is that obvious? I mean, you gotta be.
No, not
come on.
Housewives.
Come on, man. Well, and here's Peggy from 8 Mile Trailer Park. I mean, come on, dude. Come on.
Okay. Well, let me be. What I'm saying here is some of them are very wealthy, for real wealthy, and some live a little beyond. None of them are broke. They're not poor.
They're
not living in trailers or things like that. But some are living more modest lifestyles, middle class lifestyles. Things like that. But you still have to present as rich. Do you know what I'm saying?
Got it. Yeah, no, I present all the time as rich. Now let me get, I got another question. We have Brian from Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah, a lot of HICOGs tonight. Does there always need to be at least one person with a personality disorder in order to keep things interesting? Seems so.
I would say that most have personality disorders, not just one.
Not just one. There's several. There needs to be several to make a great show.
I mean, here's the thing: to want to be on TV like SAMSON, or
you have a personality
disorder. There's already something about you that wants attention, or wants, and don't get me wrong, I'm that way too. I did stand up for a long time. I'm on TV sometimes. I'm even doing SAMSON show. Like, there's a certain
That's true.
Self-importance and ego that's involved, and desire to be known. And I think that goes even deeper to be like, what is this life for? I want to make a mark, or I want to. So everybody on these shows wants to. There is something about them. There are tons of. My wife doesn't ever want to be on camera. Literally, she's a school teacher and now has to make videos for her kids, and she hates it.
My wife is Liz is the same way right now. She's hating it too.
Yeah, she's like, I look so bad.
Right.
But yes, you need a certain type of personality, and I don't know if you want to call it a disorder, but maybe it's a disorder.
Okay. Fair enough.
And some people are definitely psychopaths and whatever, but
Yeah.
you
But it
don't.
makes for good TV. I mean, that's
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
that's who we want to watch a train wreck. You know what I mean?
yeah.
If it was like they're not going to put the
Well,
Salvation Army, situational reality show, I mean,
it depends
maybe,
on
but
the show. Like I
right.
also did Duck Dynasty, and
Oh
that
yeah. Yeah.
show, that family, they're super sweet and they're fun and they're funny, and whether you agree with them politically or religiously,
Sure.
they're really good people and they're fun
Yeah.
and they're
What
funny.
about what about the rumor that all the beards and stuff was just added, like that they were all, I mean, obviously very rich, but that the whole beard thing came on for the show. Like, can you shed any light on that at all?
Yeah, that's not true. Those
Oh,
guys, for yes, Willie, the main guy, he didn't always, they didn't all always have beards, but those beards were there for a long time
got it.
before that show started.
Got it. Okay.
Like they were doing that. That wasn't just like a prop for the
Got it.
show or
Do you
something.
have a duck collar? Do you have one of those?
No, I don't have a duck call, but
That's
I have.
insane. How do you not have one? How many episodes did you do of that show and you don't have one?
I did
That's
two
kind of weird,
seasons,
man.
but I don't go duck hunting, but I do have
I
a
don't either, but
couple.
I still would have had one of those.
I have a couple of T-shirts or whatever, but no duck
Okay.
call. Yeah.
There you go. So when you go into Bass Pro Shops, you get a discount on your Duck Dynasty merch. Okay,
No.
here we go. This is a juicy question. This comes from Steve E in Atlanta
Wait, is
also.
that fuck Steve guy?
That's fuck Steve Eichelberger. Yeah, Big Steve wants to know, can the showrunners actually smell the sex in the rooms the following morning on Summer House?
Well, I'm there during it.
Oh, there. Oh, that's a good point. That's true. What an idiot, Steve. You're there directing it. Wow.
No,
What is that like? Come on, tell us, Ian.
no, I'll say this: we have RoboCams, but there's someone logging
Robocams.
those cameras. You know, those embedding cameras into the ceiling that look down.
Yeah.
There are people monitor, like it's a 24-hour a day situation on the weekends.
Oh, wow.
When we're shooting that show. It's a house show, like any of those shows.
Now, explain Summer House. I know there's a lot of people out there who are fans of this show also. And I apologize too, because I unfortunately don't watch a lot of reality TV. But a lot of my folks who watch this show do love the shows. So tell us about Summer House. Is there a lot of real sex that happens on this show?
Yes.
Or is it okay? Good.
No,
Good.
tons,
Okay.
tons.
So you can confirm. Okay.
Yes.
Do you guys just hand the rubbers out in a bowl, or how does that work?
No, no, they do whatever they do. We're
Okay,
not,
fair enough.
know.
Wow. So there's a lot of barebacking in Summer House.
Whatever they decide to do. We're not.
You'll be there to roll.
Yes. But you should really at least do a little research before the guest comes
Bringing on a guest. I know, Ian, but this is what I like to do, Ian. I like to bring it out of you, man. I like you to tell me a little bit more. But at least I'm being honest with you. You know, I'm not going to sit here and fake like I watch a lot of Bravo, period.
Well, I'll say this: Summer House is that's a show a lot of people, even friends of mine,
that's a big show,
really like, and I'm always like, "That's the show you like the best." Like, don't get me wrong, I feel bad because I love that whole cast.
I know, but I get it.
But it's like, Duck Dynasty was like the #1 show on cable ever, and American Pickers was the #2 show on cable.
I love American
doing
Pickers.
it, and just Alaskan Bush People, the #1 show on Discovery. But Summer House is the one that really I get the most of so many people
People love it, man.
Yeah, they really like that show a lot. And it's a great show. I do love it. And this season's the best season
The best
yet.
season yet.
Oh,
Okay.
it's so good this season, and everyone should watch Family Karma. That's another show
Right.
it
Right.
just started. It's a brand new show on Bravo about
Yeah, I've seen
Indian
that.
family
Yep.
in Miami, and it's so much fun. It's really fun and funny.
Yeah, you were in
But
Miami partying for a while. Well, working, but I call it
yeah,
partying.
yeah. Well, I love what I do, so yes.
Now, tell us about Summer House. Is there any like, insider things you can tell us that nobody would know but you, or, is there anything you can tell my viewers that would just give them a little something in this quarantine to say, wow, I was watching Sam's show tonight and I got this little nugget that changed my life about Summer House.
I don't know if I have anything life changing. It's a great season, and we're up to season 8. I mean, episode,
Wow.
not season 8,
Damn
episode
it,
8.
Ian. Okay.
Episode 8 just aired. So
Okay.
there are 14 episodes, I think. So
Nice.
there's another 6 episodes coming, and
Okay.
they're just really good. It gets better and better. I don't know what any. I mean, if you had a specific question from someone watching,
I know. I'm trying. Man, you're putting me on the spot like I'm the host of the show or something, Ian.
like I don't know what anyone would want to know. That's like
You're
some
right. No, you're
secret.
right. I know. I should be more specific. How about this? Jake from State Farm wants to know.
Khakis. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. Do you know what the differences are between the husbands in Dallas and husbands in other cities, like their involvement or input? Like, do any of the husbands? That's something a viewer wanted to know. How much do the husbands get involved in this, or do they say, "Hey, man, make my wife look good. I'm gonna fuck you up, Ian."
Well, I'm kind of. Some of the husbands are more involved, some less involved. I love in Dallas Travis Holman. He's awesome.
Okay.
Really good guy. He's just really sweet. Court Westcott, and it's funny. So there are 2 people on Dallas. There's a woman named Stephanie Holman. I love her, super sweet,
Okay.
and Cameron Westcott, also
Okay.
love her.
Okay.
They have their differences on that show, and for good reason. And I see both sides,
Right.
but I love them both. And it's funny because people take one side or the other, but they're
Right.
both super. And I like their husbands. And if the husbands were watching now, they'll both text me and go, "How could you say you like the other guy?"
Right, exactly. Well, their husbands are watching, Ian. I mean, this show is seen by millions and millions of people.
Well, I did Instagram it, and they're all Instagram friends of mine. So
there you go.
Idea.
Good.
Maybe,
Well, I know you have.
not.
I know your following is insane. I mean, you are an influencer. Somebody had a funny thing. They're like, "What are the influencers influencing right now?"
Yeah, Corona.
Corona. Yeah.
Everyone's selling Corona. The beer,
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, the husbands do get involved. They all get involved because we want to see them at home and in their real lives, and the husbands are part of that. Some take a more of a back seat, like it's something their wife does, but they'll do a few scenes, but they're not really going to get involved with any of the drama. And others are shit talkers, and so it's really depends on the different husband, as it were.
Right. Okay. Well, I like that. That was great. Well, I think that's all the questions I had from my viewers, Ian. But
do you have any questions about American Pickers? Your favorite?
I mean, okay. No, that's true. American Pickers. If I'm on an airplane, I'm watching American Pickers. I will watch American Pickers almost any time it is on. Like, it's funny, if I really think about that, Ian, that could be one of my most favorite shows is American Pickers, because what was a recent one? I love how they'll just go so deep into a garage, you know what I mean? Or just go so deep into somebody's like shitty hoarded attic. And I can see how you get off on that, because I had a neighbor, recently, the house next door. And it is a bit of a scavenger hunt when you go into these people's places and it's all hoarded. And it's like, you don't know what you're going to find. And So and then I think that's the attraction American Pickers is you're just like, oh my God, what are they going to pull out? Well, that's what she said. Now, here's something funny, Ian, what I always think about. They're like, yeah, I'll give you $100. And then they're like, yeah, I'm going to sell this for $200. So he made $100 profit. And I'm like, these people are watching the rerun and they're like, oh my God, like, okay, I should have way marked up my shit had they known
Well,
what,
no.
I mean, they are honest about it. I will give it, Mike and the guy, they are upfront about their stuff.
Well, let me say this is the premise of that whole show is really I have a store. In my store I can't get these items by just going to some wholesaler and getting these antiques. I can't do that. So
they're pickers.
I am also the wholesaler. I have to find places. So I pull over, I come to your house, Samson. I go in your garage, I find whatever,
a lot of shit,
a motorcycle or a sign, an old gasoline
electroshock dildo, yeah,
whatever the item is. Now the point is, I spent time, money, everything to get to you to talk. Now I negotiate with you.
That's true.
And as Mike would always say, I need some meat on the bone here. Like, meaning if I'm going to buy this from you, I have to resell it. So you're my wholesaler. So I need to get it at about half the price of what I can sell it for.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you can't sell it for what I can sell it for because you're sitting in a barn in the middle.
Sure.
Like, you don't have customers coming over. I'm
sitting in a shed, but
right. Like now that there's internet, people could probably go and sell, but they don't know what their stuff's worth necessarily. They don't. So when a guy like Mike comes and Frank and they're honest with you and say, look, I could probably sell this for $1,000. I'll pay you $500 because then I got to pay my gas. I got to ship it back.
I get it.
And then in my store, I sell it. So it's not like they're taking advantage of it.
I know. You're right.
It's just like you weren't even looking to sell it, or you weren't, and now I came by
and gave you money for all this, for all your dad's old shit.
Right. Now, if you want to open your own store and sell all that, like, fine.
Yeah, go for it.
The amount of time, like, you get like a quick 500 for something that if you put in 10 times more work, you could get $1,000 for, like, so
exactly. Yeah, so I get it. Now let me ask you a question, because I remember you told me this a while ago. The guys, is it true they fly to the location? Can you talk about this? They fly to locations. They don't actually drive cross country like it looks like in that van, or can you?
Wait, did I say that?
I don't know. It depends on what you're about to say.
Well, I will say at this point in time, what ends up happening, at least when I did the show, what ends up happening at that point, the show was like the #2 show on cable. Like, it's great. It's huge. They have a store to operate. They have a lot of fans coming in. So time is money for people like that.
Sure.
So what we would do is we might kind of meet them somewhere with the van.
Sure.
And then they get in that van, and then they would drive that van the whole 2 weeks that we're shooting. So like, in other words, if we meet them in Charlotte, North Carolina,
got it,
and the whole crew assembles there, the van's there. And then they drive, and then that whole 2 week time, they are driving state to state or wherever we're going, and we're doing our picks. And we've had, that show, we would drive and drive and drive. But but because the show became so big, so like now we're going to California or wherever it is, or we're going to Florida. So they live in Iowa. Like, for them to get in that van and drive to Florida for 2 weeks of shooting, it's going to take them another week to round trip.
It doesn't take anything away from the show at all.
No, but then
obviously
that show is one of the most real shows I've ever done in terms of, reality is always produced somewhat.
Sure, but they don't. What I love about that show, there's no drama. You know what I mean? It's just purely the find is what is so attractive about the show. Is like, oh, look at that old train they pulled out, or You
Well,
know, even the old
not
oil
just
signs you're even
yes, the history, the items, as well as
right.
the people they meet. Some of the people they meet are
Yeah,
very
pretty cool.
interesting,
Oh,
have
yeah,
really good
obvious.
stories. So
Uh-huh,
it's a
yeah,
little bit on the road and stories
yeah.
and cool items and history. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what that show thrives on.
Yeah.
It's a great show, and it's real and it's grounded in reality and very little producing going on.
I'm not a I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the girl that they have, the woman, I'm sorry, who's
Danielle.
back at the station. I don't know if she's still on the show. Last time I just watched an episode recently and I didn't see her. They had these two old guys who were trying to get a tractor started, like an old tractor. So it's these two old guys arguing.
I haven't watched that show in years, so I
Okay.
don't know.
Yeah, see, I actually love the show. I
You
really like
do.
American Pickers.
I
So,
like that. You like one of the shows I've
well,
done.
Ian, I like you. That's what counts. I mean, shoot, you probably, I mean, yeah. So, well, this is great, Ian. I mean, I think we pretty much covered a lot. Anything? What do you got coming up? I know you have some shows coming out here soon. Can you talk about that?
So first, definitely, I want to push people to watch Family Karma, and they're gonna have, I think, a marathon, maybe even tomorrow of
Oh,
Family.
snap.
The first we aired 3 episodes already, so they might
Okay.
do show those first 3 episodes tomorrow or the next
Okay.
day. But it airs Sunday nights at 9, and you can catch up on either Bravo on demand, or you can go to the Bravo's YouTube page and see the first 1 or 2 episodes. I think
Okay.
it's a really fun and funny show, and it explores a little bit of the Indian culture, which is really fun and
Okay.
interesting.
Love
And the
it.
parents of those kids on that show are amazing.
All right, great. Yeah.
And then I just finished shooting a show for Netflix, which
Okay.
I don't think I can say yet, but we're sending
Uh-oh.
cuts in. But when it comes out, I'm going to ask you to promote it for me.
Oh, I will. And my millions of fans will go crazy for it. Because, it's cool, Ian, when you have a social media following like me and you're an influencer, you just tell people to watch things and they do it. It's crazy. So thank the Lord up above, for that following and all. But yeah,
And
that's going to be big. Just pass it on to me.
yeah, of course. And what about you? You got anything coming up? You got a
Well, Ian, just more live shows in my little shed here. What else I got going? I got a little show brewing that I'm gonna pop out of the shed with. People know about it when they do. Ian, I'm not. I don't always like. I mean, I do like to talk about it, obviously, but I do also like to move in silence and then all of a sudden go kaboom. You
I
know.
got you.
So that's
So,
what I'm going to do. I don't want to jinx anything. I'm a Jew. You're a Jew. I've done that, because as artists, we want to celebrate each meeting, each little step of every victory. And like we were saying, what goes into actually selling a TV show is it's easier to win an Olympic gold medal. Maybe not. I just said that out loud. But it is very difficult because there's so many things that go into it. So,
it's
but yes,
very
things are brewing.
it's very fragile.
It's
These
very
things are
fragile.
very fragile. If
It
one
is.
thing drops, like if the you have a star and then they don't have time for it, or you have a
Yeah.
person and they can't,
Right.
and then this happens, or the
Right.
person you were selling to gets fired, or there's a
Yeah.
coronavirus, or I mean,
That
anything
part.
can happen.
Yeah. Or
That
how about the guy spilled coffee on himself that morning, got into a fight with his wife, and then you're the first pitch meeting he has.
yes, of course. It's
And you've worked
always
5 years on this show to get to this moment, and that guy had a shitty morning, and that it had nothing to do with your show almost.
well, you know what? I think I've told you this before. Johnny Carson had 2% of the population
Oh,
watch
right.
him.
Yeah.
and he made billions. So that means only 2 out of every 100 people liked him, and the other 98 either didn't give a shit or hated him.
That's
And
true.
so you just need to find the 2 people that are going to pick up your show or
That's
connect with
true.
you or whatever it is. And sometimes that's a long process, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's a short process. But
Yeah,
if
in my
you
case,
can,
it's been a long process, but it is a marathon, like you said, you know?
yeah, and look, I also had a long, hard journey. It didn't come overnight, and
No, that's what she
I,
said. Sorry,
yeah,
Ian.
no, that's fine.
That's
But
okay.
yeah, it was you know, and it's still a journey, and it's still tough. And I want to be making movies and winning Oscars, and
Sure.
you know, I'm making Summer House, which I love, but it's still not making an Oscar-winning movie. So
Yeah,
everything takes its time, and you do it. But you're a good guy, and I
you
think
too, man.
we'll work together soon on
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And thanks for having me on.
No, thank you too. And all the people, they can see your handle. Let me take you out with a little bit of music and everything. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ian Gelfand, please go follow him, okay? This was great. Ian, can you hear that music?
No.
Maybe there isn't the music coming through, folks. Let me see. I'm going to do this so they can hear the music, Ian. There it is. All right, folks, this has been Samson's World. Thank you very much for watching. Ian, it was great to see you. Have a great night, everybody.
All right, thanks.
Stay healthy.